Hi, guys. It's me, yours truly, Beverly Sherrill Johnson, lifestyle health coach and consultant, registered nurse for over 33 years, known as the Uncommon Flexitarian, and the creator of Eat What. Eat What is my weekly program that gives you resourceful information, education regarding the many USDA and FDA food safety and health concerns. Now, I just don't wish to alarm you, but I also wish to give you solutions, concrete solutions to fuel your immunity, to build your overall health so that you can look good, feel good, and have a more positive outlook on life. Welcome. Welcome to another edition of Eat What. Now, in case you're noticing the background a little bit different, yes, we're doing some new things in 2022. Every year should be progressive. You should be doing something different, something more, not trying to stay the same. You should be trying to be progressive. So we're trying to be progressive here. We came out of our other studio and we are doing this here. So we're still making some adjustments. Right before we went live, I just wanted to explain, right before we went live, there was a power outage in the area. So things are a bit rough, but that's what you can expect sometimes with live broadcasts. So just moving forward on from that, not letting anything, any type of negativity or sabotage affect us, we're going to continue on with our program. Today's program, Eating for Spiritual, Physical, and Mental Health, is a subject that we generally talk about all the time. But today, I desire to highlight it. I desire to highlight it as we begin this new year in 2022. Now, why is that? It is because everything we do, we have to think of ourselves on a three-part level. Now, many people don't agree with this, but it is true. We are three-part beings. We are spiritual, we are mental, and we are physical. Our spiritual life governs our thought life, our minds, and our minds govern what we do, the decisions we make regarding our physical beings. So it really all does go together, and not just in your personal life, but it also extends to your activities in everything that you do in life. If you're finding non-congruency in any form of your life, then check to see the congruency in your spiritual, your mental, and your physical, whatever that you're approaching. It could be business, it could be relationships, it could be anything that you approach. Everything here on earth has a three-part component. It has a spiritual backdrop, it has a mindset that goes along with it, and it has a physical entity, okay, that goes along with that. So really just want to tackle this at the top of the year. And again, I apologize for the lighting issues. I just want to tackle this at the top of the year to really emphasize each part. And not we're not going to cover everything today, but we're going to cover the first aspect, spiritual, the spiritual aspect of our health. Now, of course, spiritually, mentally, and physically, we do need to feed ourselves. So, eating for spiritual health is a reality. Feeding for spiritual health is a reality. And what do we do? How do we feed ourselves spiritually? Well, there are a variety of ways. A lot of people choose to feed themselves spiritually by going on a fast at the beginning of the year. It is a spiritual journey, a fasting from food, from activities, maybe even social media, uh, in anything that would be negative. Fasting from that, taking a step back, reevaluating, and not just saying, well, I'm just going to do this from X day to X day, or from 1 to 6 weeks, or for 30 days, but really take take a really take a look at what we are doing in our lives spiritually. Spiritually, are you making gains? Are you harboring any negatives? Now, of course, we can all look at somebody else and harbor negatives, but really, what are you doing? What is your spiritual life like? Are you progressing? Are you progressing in your spiritual life? Now, wherever that means to you, are you progressing in it? Or are you basically just right where you were at the same place 10 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe even 30, 40 years ago? Are you still at that place? You think you've progressed, but maybe everything else in your life shows that you have not. So this is a time, usually at the top of the year, where people are really looking at the spiritual aspects of their life. And I think we should too here at Eat What. We look at the spiritual aspects of our lives. So going on a spiritual fast, what does that entail? Okay, what does that entail? I'm going, because of the glare, just going to take these off for a moment. What does that entail? Our spiritual lives are so key to everything else that we do, that we really need to focus on how we approach the spiritual aspect of eating. Now, of course, there are many ways to approach this depending upon your background in spirituality, depending upon your spirituality. But according to my favorite book, going to my favorite book, which is the Bible, I choose to approach spirituality by, first of all, just decongesting myself of all negativity. You really want to separate yourself from negative people, negative places, negative things that are going on in your life. You really would desire to do that. And there are many ways that you can approach that. Many ways you can approach that. First, a lot of people do this. The first few days of whatever their designated fast is, the first few days, they choose to decongest themselves of all types of foods that are not beneficial, not only to their physical health, but also to their spiritual health. A lot of people choose to go on a liquid fast, whereas you are depriving yourself and they're depriving yourself of the solid foods for a time, and then you are focusing more on your spiritual aspects. A lot of times, and this is again from my Christian beliefs, a lot of times our decisions get swayed or get changed because of how we eat or what we crave in our eating. How is that? Well, if we take a look back to Genesis, if we take a look back to Genesis in the Bible, like I said, talking from my favorite book, we see that there was temptation, and the temptation involved food. So when your temptation involves food, and if you have a spiritual enemy, which is depicted in Genesis, the spiritual enemy used food as the weapon in order to break down the relationship in the spiritual relationship between the Adam and Eve and God. Then of course, we know whatever you have used that has worked, you're going to continue to use it. A lot of people use this time at the beginning of the year to make sure that they are focused not on food, but on the spirituality. And a lot of times with doing that, you have to remove the tempting objects, which would be the food. Now, of course, um, being going on a fast, you have to be connected, of course, with your healthcare professionals, your medical doctors, doctor of osteopathy, nurse practitioners, herbalists, all those who are involved in your health. You really should get connected with them. Let them know what you plan to do, how you should, your plans on how to approach the fast, and of course, they can give you guidelines and support. Never enter a fast without doing this. Never making the assumption that, you're going to be okay. You're just doing this, it is going to make everything all right, particularly if you are under a doctor's care. All right. So I do want to put that in there as well. Now, back to the spiritual fast. Food is usually that thing that is the greatest temptation, and it opens the doorway to be disconnected from spiritual. So a lot of people focus on food in fasting as being separated from from the temptations of food for a time period. As I just mentioned, some people choose to go on a liquid fast, and if you're doing so, you can certainly do so underneath a doctor's care. There are plenty of protein shakes that will help feed your spirit. Of course, drinking your water, your 100% fruit juices. Cleansing during this time is also very, very popular, just to rid your body of old and, like you say, getting in touch with the spiritual aspect of it. But also, what is also a part of this spiritual journey is eating. Now, once, like I said, I just mentioned protein shakes and things for those who choose to go on a liquid fast. But for those who choose to do more than just a liquid fast, eat, if you choose to eat foods, that there are usually certain foods people like to eliminate during this time in order to be connected more strongly with their spiritual roots. A lot of people during this time get rid of meats, and if meat is a problem for you, if eating the processed meats or in any of the meats that are available to you, if this is a problem, this might be a good time for you to talk with your healthcare professionals and eat meat substitutes that are protein rich, because we need protein for our brains and for our muscles, for our bodies. Our bodies do not create protein, therefore we need daily ingestion of protein. But we also need to feed ourselves, and so that we are healthy. So once again, a lot of times meat is eliminated and more vegetables are incorporated into whatever they're eating, whatever you are eating. So this is another way to get connected with the spiritual aspect of everything that you're doing. Again, according to my favorite book, there are many, many fasts that involve just the eating of vegetables. There's the Daniel fast, where there was the eating of breads and vegetables, of certain breads and vegetables that were wholesome for the body. These are different ways that you can decongest yourself, getting in touch with the spiritual aspect through eating. And of course, you want to feed your spirit and undergird your spirit with positive messages that can be that can be beneficial to your spirit. Of course, like I said, you want to remove all negative things out of your atmosphere. Negativity, people, places, and things, particularly when you're going on a fast. You have to recognize those things that are irritants and replace them, not just for a time, but if you're really going to do this and live a new you in 2022, then you really want to replace these things, not for the temporary, but for the long haul. And when you're doing this, starting with a spiritual aspect of it, people have reported to me, generally they see more success if they put the spiritual first. Getting back in touch with your spiritual roots, whatever they may be, getting in touch with your spiritual roots, realizing that you are not here by yourself for yourself, but that in your existence here, there is greater than you. Now, again, your religious beliefs will govern you as what you desire to call this being outside of yourself. But in my favorite book, and according to my Christian beliefs, this is Yahweh. This is Father God, our creator. And going further, I do believe in Jesus Christ. So, as his only begotten Son, Savior. Therefore, that is, I approach spirituality from that perspective. Your perspective, you approach spirituality from your perspective, thus cleansing yourself spiritually getting in touch with your religious beliefs and the why you are connected with them. This is very, very important as it provides a foundation for what you're trying to do all year. And once again, at the beginning of the year, this is most important to get a foundation, especially when you're setting goals for yourself spiritually, mentally, physically. You're setting goals for yourself. You're setting goals. You are pursuing. You are pursuing a new you. Like I said, every year is progressive. Every year you should be doing something different, something more, something where you are gaining more knowledge about yourself and impacting more lives. And I will add that impacting more lives should be a focus of what you're doing here. If you're just living for yourself and by yourself and everything has to evolve around you, then you're not really doing the service that you really could be giving to other people. And like I said, everybody does this on their own level, but it has to start with you and you realizing that you're here for a purpose. And being here for a purpose, you really want to get connected with why you're here, what you're doing, and how your actions impede and impact others. All right. All right. So just wanted to briefly talk about that aspect of it. But again, eating for your spiritual health, eating for your spiritual health is so primarily important. It's really, really important, guys. I really want to emphasize that because everything you do after then is a result of that foundation of your spiritual health. Now, of course, like I said, different religions have different approaches to this. But as human beings, I believe that we are always supposed to be service oriented, and you cannot provide service towards anyone or give service of goodness of your heart if you are not connected spiritually. What good can you do for others if you are not in the right frame of mind, a right frame of spirit to benefit others? You really, really would want to make an impact for other people, for other person's lives. And you being a servant, it really does impact you spiritually as well. And that's another thing regarding spirituality is just not a one way. It's just not a one way position or a one way action that we undertake. Spirituality is you giving, and again, as my favorite book says, as you give, you are receiving also. Now, of course, everything that we do in life is a seed, and your giving must be, and this is included also in your spiritual life. Your giving be must be in the ground where it can produce. Not every seed that you put out there is going to be reproductive if you put it in the wrong soil. And this is true of also of your spiritual health as well, your spiritual health. All right. So like I said, I've used this example many times, and I'll just say it again. I often talk to people about replacing the old and putting in the new. You're getting rid of the old, and old would be the outdated, the limiting, the damaging, the dead, the destructive, whatever you desire to apply that to in your life, whether it's your business life, your personal life, your relationships, You want to get rid of the outdated, the limiting, and the dead, the damaging, the destructive. All right. So, in terms of spiritual health, you really want to do this as well. You really want to do this as well. Those spiritual ideas, those spiritual ideas, things that are not allowing you to progress forward, things that are not allowing you to progress, things, people, places, and things, those activities, they might have been good for a season, it might have been good for a time, but it's time now to move on. It's time now to move on. You need to exchange. And if you don't exchange the old and engraft new, what happens? I use this example often. You can take the best bag of seed, go to a top of the heap of an auto salvage yard, a junkyard full of old parts, rusted parts, old things, and pour that best bag of seed over all of that garbage. What do you get? Probably nothing. Probably nothing. If anything, maybe one of maybe a few seeds would grow, but probably nothing. But you take that same bag of seed and you clean out that auto salvage yard. You get rid of the old. You get rid of the limiting. You get rid of the dead, the damaging, the destructive. You pour that same bag of seed on a now clean yard, clean of all debris. And what do you get? You get a harvest, such as it is in our lives, spiritually, physically, and mentally. And today we're talking about spiritual, removing, diving deep into our spiritual lives, removing old ideas about how things can happen, how things can progress. Now, I'm not saying that you necessarily change your teachings, but what I'm saying is look at the same teachings in a new light. My God is progressive. Life is progressive. The same that God is not saying the same thing in 2022 that he was saying in 1922. Things have changed. The world has changed. And therefore, you need to approach even your spirituality, your teachings, your readings, your messages, your study in a brand new light. It can only benefit you. It can help, and it can only help you to move forward. Now, what types of foods can you eat to bring this spirituality into play? Well, as I mentioned, a lot of people take time and they go on a liquid diet. They go on a liquid diet, and perhaps this is one way that they can connect or reconnect with their spirituality. Remembering protein, we do need protein at all times. Another diet, another fast that I am aware of is the Daniel fast. Is the Daniel fast, where you're eating breads that are healthy for you, nothing that is bleached, nothing that is nothing that is has been the seed where it has been all the nutrients have been removed from it, and then you're eating vegetables and you're eating water and you're drinking water. These are things, 100% fruit juices and lots of more fruits and vegetables, things that are beneficial to your body and not harmful, and not harmful. These is another way that you can get reconnected. Of course, there are many fasts that you can connect with. Again, talk with your healthcare providers, making sure that you get the proper nutrients on whatever fast that you're choosing to embark upon. But whenever you're doing so, please have a spiritual component with it. So it's not just I always say fasting without a spiritual component is just dieting. So you don't want to diet. If you really want to eat for spiritual health and spiritual enrichment, then you really want to get connected with a fast and a spiritual and the spirituality which you are, well, the spirituality that which you are comfortable with. Okay, all right, you really want to do that. And of course, during this time, spirituality, Another thing that helps with spirituality is realizing that you are not alone. You did not come into this world alone, and you've made connections with people all over the world, perhaps through social media or through your travels, through your impacting of others, and you just want to make the best and the most positive impact that you can, that you can. So you really want to connect with people on the spiritual level, and really help them, and really help them to become a better version of themselves, as you're becoming a better version of yourself. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have time for today. Just wanted to embark upon this brief message as we doing new things in 2022. New studio, new studio. Like I said, right before this, moments before we were about to go live, all of the lighting, all of the electricity went out. But you know what? We're not going to be concerned about that. So we'll get more proficient as things go further into this year, and we're progressing. We're doing different things. This is the new year, and we're trying new things also here at Eat What. So, like I said, that's all I had time for today. We're going to continue this subject next week, speaking about eating for our mental health and how the spiritual and the mental go together. And then in the third week, we will add the physical. All right. So stay tuned for those episodes from Eat What in the upcoming weeks. We're going to continue to work on our new studio, on our new way of communicating with all of you. Do love to see your comments. Love to see your comments either during the show live or even as you direct message me. I really do appreciate that. And if you desire to connect, you can always invite others to this program. Desire to connect with me, you can always do so by direct messaging me at Beverly Sherelle Johnson, or you can email me at betterlivingwithplants@gmail.com. Any of our wonderful members of our group, you are welcome to invite others to join in. And as we learn how to do more and for our bodies, for our mental and for our spiritual health. And as I did mention in the beginning, we also tackle a lot of the USDA and FDA food safety and health concerns. So members, don't be afraid to invite others. Don't be afraid to invite others. It's a learning experience for all, especially as there are more variants and more variants that are becoming that are just surfacing. Viruses are doing what they always do. They've been doing this for millions of years. So there's more to come. There's more to come. Well, guys, thank you for joining me today. Next week, we will talk about eating for mental health. We will talk about eating for our mental health and how the spiritual and the mental are so closely aligned, so that everything that we do is in agreement. All right. So we will talk more about that. We will talk more about that next week on our next edition of Eat What. Until then, I'm Beverly Sherelle Johnson. I will talk with you guys later. All right. Bye bye.